All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review. And please, if you're just leaving any type of comments or any type of reviews, don't just be Laker haters and just try to go ahead and leave us nasty reviews or stuff like that, because I caught someone doing that. That's not cool. Just leave us a 5-star review, because we've got actually a really good podcast that a lot of people love and listen to. So we truly appreciate it if you can, and we thank you so much for doing so. And look who's happening. I thought everyone would be here this time around, but it is, again, the Lakers Fast Break podcast. If you can please support, share, like, or subscribe, it is truly appreciated. Woo! Back in the win column again for the Los Angeles Lakers with a second half performance, especially in that third quarter when they really put the clamps down on the offense of the Portland Trail Blazers. They really put the clamps down with some really solid defense. Not necessarily challenging shots per se, but really going out there getting steals after steals. There were several possessions in a row where they got their hands on balls and turned it over. It got on fast break, got in transition, and that's what you want to see. And that led to a nice, comfortable victory by the Los Angeles Lakers, 102 to 93 over the Portland Trail Blazers. And here today to talk about today's game are two great guests indeed. So I don't think I see anybody else, but LakerTom and I thought everybody would be coming out of the woodwork today. But I'll take who I can get this time around. It is the mastermind behind Lakerholics.com. He is the first one to arrive, so he'll be the first one to talk. It is LakerTom. And LakerTom, you got to be very encouraged by today's performance, by today's run-through. The transition was there. Three-pointers, they still took a lot of three-pointers, so the priority was still there. But overall, you got to be pleased with what we saw today.
Well, I think the most important thing was, number one, we got a win. And I think number two, we saw what a difference Dennis Schroeder can make. It was a terrific game at both ends of the court by Schroeder. And then number three, and I think has to be the most important thing, is that we came out and played the kind of second half lockdown defense that we've done in the past. And it was all built around doubling Dame Lillard and making those fast rotations. And we held them to 36 points in the second half. That was a great game from a lot of players. LeBron was terrific. He filled the stat sheet like I've never seen it with, 3 blocks, 5 steals, all of the points and rebounds and everything else. And he was totally in control. And, the only downside to the game in my mind was I just don't understand why we come out and give everybody a 10-point lead.
Well, but then again, we actually there was a couple games that we actually were either tied, close behind, or in front, and we still lost those games.
Yeah, I know, but the best sign of all was this was Laker defense.
Yeah,
I thought that the comment by the announcers that the Lakers have the best defense in the league as far as being able to double people and have the quickness and rotations to really cover those open shooters, even, and a lot of that is predicated on you make a difficult pass that it's floating, because you've doubled the guy down. The pass isn't right in the shooter's pocket, and it gives you time. It gives you time with the ball in the air to make those rotations, and the Lakers did a terrific job. You could tell Lillard was really getting frustrated at not getting his open shots. He settled a couple of times for trying those 30-foot logo type threes that didn't go in, and basically it took him completely out of his game. He didn't play defense at the other end. He was just really totally frustrated by his teammates' inability to come through. We gang rebounded great. I mean, we won. This is one of those games where 50 points in the paint and 50 rebounds. That's an awful good combination. And I thought the Lakers were just terrific on the boards. Tipping the ball over and over to the open guy and 3 or 4 or 5 guys gang rebounding. So that was really impressive.
Well, that was because of Enes Kanter. I mean, everybody made a concerted effort. If they weren't going to get the offensive rebound themselves, they're going to tip
wasn't going to get it.
And I think that's the key. The key to going ahead and getting Enes Kanter off the boards is the fact that he's going after it. He expects you to try and catch it with both hands. That's how he gets his hands on it. When you're just trying to tip it away from him, that makes it so much harder for him to get those offensive rebounds.
When you gain rebound too, you always see guys in your peripheral vision that you can tip the ball to who are open. That's the whole key to the thing.
Yeah, but I'm saying the person
with the ball, it's easy to control it that way.
But the guy that's actually trying for it first would normally go with two hands. The Lakers were actually just tipping it to that other person that was open, and that was creating a lot that transitions too. It was creating a lot of transition points as well.
But this was Laker basketball. We didn't shoot well from three. We didn't even take our reasonable normal 30 shots from three. We only took 27 and only made 7 of them. But we held them to 20% from three, and we held them to under 40% from the field. So that's a winning combination against most teams. May not be against the Brooklyn Nets. Utah lost tonight, so now we close a little ground. We're 3.5 back, I think, and in third place right behind the Clippers. And we've got 3 more games, and then we get what I think is a big break, a 9-day stretch there, a vacation, 9 days off for, practices to get everybody healthy, including hopefully AD. And actually just to recharge our batteries for the second half of the season. I think we have a good shot. I thought this was the game that was going to be the toughest of the 4 games. So I think we have a good shot maybe to finish the season with 4 wins, or finish the first half of the season with 4 wins and really, take that 9 days off and really get ourselves ready for the second half of the season. This was a great game. LeBron played well, played MVP caliber basketball. The team's defense came through well. Schroeder showed exactly why the team ought to give him an extension. You couldn't ask for more in this particular game. There were a couple of disappointing plays, a couple of players who didn't play well. I thought Markieff Morris, I just don't know what's going on with his threes, even his corner threes. It's almost like there's too much arc on the ball or something, but because it's not falling at all. And we still have to solve that problem. And I think that it's going to be interesting seeing what happens once we get the season over. And I think our last game is March 3rd. March 3rd happens to be the date when all of the players that the Lakers signed in the summer are now eligible to be traded. We've got a new guy on a 10-day contract coming in, a center.
Damian Jones.
Damian Jones played for the Warriors for 3 years, and then I think a year with
first-round bust.
First-round bust, but he was a 30th pick, so that's not exactly, it's not a lottery pick. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think that we still need to make some moves, but we'll see what Rob Pelinka thinks. And, the whole thing is that this year is going to be a lot harder year to win the championship than last season was, because I think the competition is better. The Clippers have learned a lesson. They're playing pretty well, although they still go out there and have these games where they're 8-point favorites and lose by 25. And then the Jazz are still playing well. They lost tonight, but they basically have the best 3-point differential in the league. And then the Nets continue to win. Now they're the leading team with the 8-game win streak at this point in time since the Jazz fell. So it's going to be an interesting season. I'm hoping that what we've done tonight will carry through in the next 3 games, and we can take that 9-day vacation knowing that we're in good position for the second half of the season.
All right. Well, let's bring in Jamie Sweet here, Admiral Akbar. We went and go ahead and lifted the ban. We said it was okay. We'll just go ahead and bring him in on this one. I wanted to go ahead. Well, sorry, Tom. I had you echo because you were echoing. I had you muted for a second. But I wanted to go ahead and, I know he's looking there right there for you. But it is Jamie Sweet, the man who's behind 5 great things for the Lakers. You got to read his articles. He's been updating constantly on Lakerholics.com. And, Jamie, you got to be a little bit more, I guess, positive about the Lakers right now, especially after a second-half performance, especially a third-quarter performance like the one we saw from the Lakers today.
I think the Lakers made a huge defensive adjustment at halftime to commit a lot harder to their trapping double teams than they looked like they were capable of in the first half when Damian Lillard was splitting that double at will. going right in between two guys who weren't committing to it hard. And they might have even had the wrong personnel doing it in the first half. Caruso, I thought, did a fantastic job on Lillard in the second half. And that was, I think, the key to the game, is that we forced the rest of the Portland Trailblazers to try to beat us, and they can't, even depleted and, underwhelming as we are from three. And the other big key I thought for tonight was that we kept our turnovers down. We did not gift this team with a bunch of momentum building extra possessions, fast break points, easy dunks, easy points with nobody getting back. So that's, with AD out, those things have to be so much better than they've been up until tonight. Granted, I don't know that this is a portending of things to come. Portland is the second worst defense in the NBA, so it's not like, we went out and dismantled Utah this way, or even, some of the tougher teams in the East. Portland struggles to defend. One thing we did that Portland traditionally doesn't do was turn them over, and I think that a lot of what, I think Tom hit on a good point. Vogel got a chance to play against this team in the playoffs, and that gave him a large body of work, large body of evidence to work with, rather, in terms of what Damian Lillard does to get himself free, how we can use our big men to disrupt their offense. And, especially with CJ McCollum out, they're down another dynamic talent like we are. So in a lot of ways, this was unfortunately a good test for two teams that are as depleted as we both are, who have been struggling as we both have. Neither team playing well to close out the first half of the season. And so, to all that, it was good that we got a win. I'm not going to go running around the block screaming my head off about this one. We beat the second worst defense in the NBA. And what more impressive to me was how much we forced Portland and Damian Lillard to not play, especially in the second half, to the narrative that they, try to create. I thought when Damian Lillard hit that logo three that he had started that about a minute or so too late. There was only 2 minutes and 47 seconds left. They were about 13, 12 down, something like that. And I feel like he needs a good 3.5 minutes to make that kind of magic happen. I watch a lot. David Millard's one of my favorite players. I think he's one of the best players in the NBA right now.
This is Raphael from NBA DraftJunkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
That is by far my favorite, because it's also character-driven and the stakes are high and there's much more of a mystery and intrigue to it.
A game like Wolfenstein, which people are saying are one of the most socially important video games of the past 10 years.
Catch our shows on radio worldwide 7 days a week, or at any time on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on over 30 more podcast outlets.
I was very happy with this. There was a lot more positive. I thought that, Gasol had a better first half than second half. He dunked the ball, which was astounding.
First dunk of the year, I think.
First dunk of the year. Yeah.
Probably.
That's, in my opinion, that's one of the huge problems with this team, is that we don't have a dominant, and this is astounding in the modern NBA. We don't have a dominant dunker. There are guys who can dunk. Caruso dunked, I think, maybe his first dunk. So, he hasn't dunked as much as he hasn't.
Twice tonight.
Yeah, and then Carmelo got a great block. A block where I was like, oh, man, showing that ball a little too early there, Alex.
Well, with Caruso, okay, it's a matter of, yes, played very good defense. Obviously did a lot of, as far as doing double teams and things of that nature. But going to the basket is now, he is going and just, he must have studied under LakerTom's favorite player, Lonzo Ball, because going to the basket was an adventure for him each and every time out. And if he wasn't having issues with it, he would be at a point where it's that old new mentality of when you're going to the basket and nobody's trying to block your shot and you've got a bunny, but you're not even looking at the basket and you pass out for a three-pointer. He did it.
And he did that twice.
Three times.
3 times? All right, you got me on one. I might have been looking at my phone for one. So
and
no, that's a little maddening. No, it's irritating.
You guys see the Denver fast break? Where
I know.
Were down by 2.
4-on-1.
They steal the ball. They're down by 2. They go down the court. The guy makes a good fake at the free throw line or at the 3-point line and looking for somebody to throw the ball underneath. And 3 guys go to the 3-point line.
Right.
For a 3.
And they passed out, and they ended up missing the 3-pointer.
Right. That's one of the things that does drive me crazy about the modern NBA is that I feel like there's been a little bit too much, in my opinion, of this like drumbeat of the 3-point shot is the best shot. And I don't think the best shot is the one that goes in. I don't care where it comes from. If it goes in, it's the best shot.
It's a drive-and dish game, man. It's like
but I mean, it's not the be-all end-all basketball. It's not the be-all end-all basketball. There's so many other things that ought to be happening on the basketball court, and that's what's a little bit not just like puzzling, but also frankly boring to watch at times. It's like, all right, let's do the same thing for the 89th time in a row. All right, woohoo!
That's why I think it was so great to have Schroeder back in the lineup because when he gets in the lane, yes, he does the Steve Nash thing every now and then where he goes under the basket and whatnot, but that's specific. Okay, that's specific because he knows he's being guarded. But
always with intent, though, don't you think?
Hold on. Let me say this: when he goes and he wants to drive and he knows he wants to score, he goes and he scores, or he goes and he tries to at least put up the shot.
He manufactures better shot attempts that way. Yes.
Yeah, he is aggressive in a good way, in a positive way, and we saw that tonight. I mean, having Schroeder back in the lineup was the jolt of energy the Lakers needed. Is it everything? No. Obviously, not having AD in the lineup is still problematic, and you're still going to have days when you're going to have issues with that. But for today and that second half, when they were, especially early in that second half, when they just wiped out that 5-point deficit and they just traded in on a 9-11-point lead simply because of the fact that like several possessions in a row, they were able to create turnovers, not necessarily missed shots. I mean, just straight up turnovers. And that to me was really when we saw, because of the fact that they were in transition, it created all those easy buckets and created a just that momentum shift that you saw that lasted throughout the rest of the game.
Those are buckets we were giving away to other teams. We've been giving those buckets away.
One at a time. Sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to say we've been giving those buckets away all season long to other teams. All season long.
It's nice to get it on our side, but go ahead, Tom.
Well, I thought the real catalyst to the defense was LeBron James tonight. 5 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, he basically did this was, and this is why I was so impressed with the defense in the second half, because this is the kind of defense we played when AD was in there. That's the kind of defense we played to win the championship. This doubling, trapping, hedging, rotating defense. And we did that tonight to a T without Anthony Davis. And it was LeBron James who filled that role. He was the guy that would intercept those passes and get those fast breaks going, would get those steals. And there were a lot of good plays by Schroeder, by Caruso, by Matthews of tipping balls away from players as they tried to drive to the middle. And there were a lot of blocks. I mean, Horton Taylor had 2 blocks that were Horton Tucker had.
I'm going to be honest with you, LakerTom, and I don't know if you guys observed this, but I saw LeBron James today, and it's one of the few times that I can personally say this. He looked much more active and engaged on the defensive side of the ball than the offensive side of the ball. Quite often in that game, he basically passed off to let other players try to go ahead and initiate the offense, or he used it to go ahead and pass around to make sure to find a better shot. He didn't try
a lot of isolation.
In the fourth quarter, he did. In the fourth quarter, he did. But in the third quarter, second quarter, he was going ahead and being more facilitator, or actually letting Dennis Schroeder run the offense a lot more. He was more engaged in that third quarter and that first part of the fourth quarter, especially popping out as like a third guy. Because when you have the double team and they would pass out of the double team, there's LeBron right there playing that freelancer motion, because he was usually guarding Derrick Jones Jr., which people don't consider a threat at all. Right. So he would go and pop off him and go on at other man. And the way and aggressiveness that he had in that was truly outstanding. To see him on the defensive side and to see that, again, the 3 blocks, the 4 steals, I mean, that just shows you right there how active he was on the defensive side of the ball, Jamie.
100%. I thought that LeBron came out with a mentality of enough is enough, but also that it had to happen on the defensive end. That this, I mean, if you look at
over the first 2 times he had it, 3 times.
Yeah, but those are the only 2 turnovers. I think he finished the game with 2 turnovers. Like after that, he really locked in a way that
we only had 5 turnovers the whole game after that first 3 minutes of disaster.
No, maybe 1 or 2 more, but we 10 turnovers total for the team tonight, which is about 6-ish, 7-ish lower than our season average.
We average 17.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's high 16. Maybe it's up to 17 now. I haven't looked. The last time I looked, it was high 16s, but it's been trending north, which is, that's the wrong direction for our team. But I thought that his defensive intensity, and it's not like we changed our defensive game plan. We just committed to it more. Like everybody just started playing harder. Like a lot of problems are solved in sports when you just play as hard as you can. And the Lakers are tired. Like they look exhausted. They looked exhausted during the losing streak. They looked a lot more energized tonight. There were 2 days off. I bet that they maybe had film and no practice or light practice. I think that we struggled. Like the role guys who have been brought in to do things haven't really been doing those things. Wes Matthews is pretty much a disaster. Marcus Morris, I think, does a lot better as a starter than he does off the bench, but then we saw that Kuzo didn't have a good game. Right. So, there's all these little things.
He had a good game, except not a scoring game.
Yeah, he rebounded the ball pretty well.
I'm not worried about him because I thought he made a lot of excellent plays.
No, I agree.
During the game, both on defense, on offense, on rebounding. He was constantly tipping balls out and so forth. What was most impressive, though, when you think about what was different from this game than what we've seen in the 4 games we lost and the stretch of overtime games that we won, is that when we had that 10-point lead at the end of the third quarter, we came out in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
And our defense in the first 8 minutes of the fourth quarter, where we held them to 6 points, was better than our defense even in the third quarter. Our offense wasn't as good as it was in the third quarter. We didn't take those turnovers and score on them every time. No. But we shut them down completely for the first half of the fourth quarter, and that cinched the game because we built the lead up to 15, and a good portion of that was done with LeBron on the bench.
No, that was some of THT.
That's really important for this team.
That was a good moment
to be able to score when you don't have your 2 superstars on the floor.
Well, that was where Schroeder came in, right? Schroeder and THT, I thought, did a good job of, on the offensive end, keeping the team. I thought when the rest of the team was walking up the court, you would see Talon trying to push the ball, get into the defense. Don't let them get set. This is the whole conundrum with the Lakers right now. It's the solutions to your problems aren't some mystical changing of just play hard.
You're really right about You're really right about the fact, Jamie, that a lot of success in basketball, and this is really the whole theory behind our defense, the trapping defense, is to force teams to do things that they're not ready to do.
Right.
And if you force them to make passes that they're not ready to pay it, and guys to catch balls and do things that are not part of their normal offense, to flip that around, I thought we did a good job of that. That's really the big advantage of pushing the ball and getting up court early and taking early shots and putting pressure on it. Right. We also were periods of time where we crashed the boards over and over and scored on those. So those are the types of things that were demoralizing the Lakers during that 4-game losing streak because we couldn't do them. And it's what demoralized Portland tonight because we did it to them. Right. We forced them to play a different game than they wanted to play. We forced Dame to play a different game than he wanted to play.
Well, go ahead. I was
just going to agree. I was just going to agree with LakerTom. I thought it's true of life, right? Try hard. Just try hard. Don't give up. Don't get. Who doesn't get tired? I don't run up and down a basketball court for an hour a day. I work an 8-hour day at a job. I come home. You know what? I'm tired. I don't want to do things, but I don't stop. I keep going. People get tired.
Here, Jamie, we missed you.
I miss being here, man. It's been, it's going back to work has changed a lot of routines at the Sweet household. So,
well, we're still searching Canada for Sean Grice, aka Magic Man. So that's a shout out to you, my friend. Welcome back anytime. But I know you're hiding out in Canada somewhere.
He's out there.
Well, L Rob, I know it's late for L Rob too. Yeah. So Rob, a big shout out to you, my friend, because he was here during the losing times. I will just say that, Jamie Sweet. That's a you right there. You right there.
I told you I was going to be here Mondays and Wednesdays.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I'm not holding back any secrets.
Okay, all right. Your trap games are well known by now. But
what do we got? We have 3 games left, right?
Well, right now, yes, we do.
Three. This was the 4, right? What is it? Phoenix, Sacramento, and
Golden State.
Golden State.
Golden State's coming up on the 28th, right here.
I think we'll go 2 and 3. I think we end up losing to Phoenix.
Well, let's see what happens there.
2 and 1.
LeBron's going to want to beat CP3.
See what happens there.
I think Devin Booker's going to have something to say about that. So that's all well and good.
Yeah, but I think that we play the same defense on Devin Booker that we play on Damian Lillard.
But
because Chris Paul has the ball, and Chris Paul is not going to get trapped like that. Damian Lillard is not a great passing point
guard. Take the ball away from Chris Paul.
And Chris Paul to do those 15-footers to you. Mid-range shots that just
I'm not going to be disrespecting Chris Paul's game on the air.
Again, the theory is the whole point behind our trapping defense is to force teams out of their normal rotations offensively.
No, I agree with that.
What we're going to have to do against every team we play.
I agree with that.
Manner.
But I brought this point up at the beginning of the season, and I've made it several times, and I'm going to make it again right now. That level of defense is very difficult to sustain in a compressed season like this, in a set with the way the schedule is, with the fact that we're not doing it for like a playoff series or 2, which we did for like 2.5 playoff series in the playoffs. Not the whole playoff series, just like 2.5. Against really 2 teams, 2.5,
against
right?
Harden and against Lillard.
2 teams. No, we didn't use that trapping defense against Portland. We used the side traps that we've kind of gone away from.
We did it. We took the ball out. Basically, we did the same thing. We did it earlier this year when we beat Denver. We did it with 2 people in that particular game because we did it with Joker and we did it with Jamal.
Yeah, well, I thought Joker
take the primary, whoever's killing us.
Right. No, I'm not.
If it's CP3 that's killing us, we'll do it to him.
I'm not disagreeing with the theory. I'm just disagreeing with the fact that what we're seeing. I believe what's watching unfold before our very eyes is that level of defensive intensity is. It's like when Rick Pitino brought the full court press.
It's not the same as a full court thing because
but the energy expenditure is the same. You're still running back and forth.
You alternate it. You wait until somebody hurt. What Frank does is he waits until somebody's killing us, and then he drops that on them.
Sometimes.
So when we play Golden State, for example, I think you'll see a good hunk of it if Steph goes crazy.
They'll do it on the tip.
They'll do it on the tip. They'll do it at moments. But the problem,
they might actually double team them in warm-ups.
They should.
Well, you don't want to. I think Jamie's got a point that first off, this is a strategy that we aren't going to use in the full game during the regular season. Whereas we might in the playoffs for the full game. And we're not going to do it until somebody proves that we need to stop them.
I still think you should double team on the warm-up deal.
Why not, Gerald, why not start in the locker room? You're not putting those shoes on. You're not putting those shoes on.
It's really the third quarter. It's what wins the third quarter for us. And we're going to come out and the first half, we're going to try to play guys straight up as much as we can, and then we'll figure out who's hurting us, and then we will adjust to that to force somebody else to do it to us in the second half. And again, the beauty of that is that aggression that you show on defense really translates really well to offense. The Lakers are not a team that their offense drives their defense. It's the other way around. Their defense drives their offense. And it's the aggression on the defense that causes those easy turnovers that turn into fast break points, that demoralize the other team so that, that they don't play as great a defense because very few players concentrate on defense more than they do on offense. And so when you're not getting your shots and you're not making your shots and you're letting the team down, a lot of players tend to slack off rather than doubling down and trying to do something at the other end of the court. That's what they get paid for mostly in this league. That's why the guys who play defense don't make the money that the guys who play offense do.
Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday when the Lakers go ahead and possibly double team Stephen Curry on warm-ups and during the, before the game.
As soon as he shows
Sunday
up to the arena, outside of his car, as soon as he gets out of his car.
They might do it. They might actually fly out two guys to the Bay Area just to, track him along the way and double team along the way.
Before he leaves the house. You're not getting
Exactly. But it is going to be
Caruso to stand outside of his home and pick him up as he goes to the car.
Maybe that's better than that's better than driving actually to the lane for him right now.
Yes.
So driving to the lane right now is again like a Lonzo Ball.
Well,
adventure.
hey, listen, Caruso had a good game, regardless of the driving dishes that frustrate you. He dunked twice. He played excellent defense, and he didn't come out with a zero. Man,
he had 2 threes. 2 threes.
I can't stand any zeros.
Yeah,
you can't start in this league, and you can't be a prime rotation player when you can't score.
Well, don't say that to Tony Allen. But
yeah, I was going to say, I believe, or like 8 million other players.
Yeah, what's the most money Tony Allen ever got paid?
I'll bet it's in the. I'll bet Tony Allen is doing far better than anybody on this podcast. Let's just say that.
More than you and I.
But he never got over 7 figures.
Who cares? Like, come on, man.
Are you sure he never got paid for over 7 figures?
Got paid. No, it doesn't matter. A, got paid for playing basketball. Yeah. B, got paid for playing basketball. C, got paid for playing. Like, come on. Like, what are you talking about?
I think he probably earned anywhere from 20 to 30 million over the course of his lifetime. So I think that's pretty darn good.
4 or 5 million a year.
Okay. Well, I'll look that up. But before
you look that up and bring it up next time.
Well, I might bring it up now.
No, I'm bringing it up right now.
One thing I want to ask you before we go, I asked you guys to go ahead and take a look at the second half schedule. I wanted to go ahead and if you guys anywhere along that schedule, whether it's a game or a series of games, point out something that you're looking forward to with great interest. For me, it's the fact that, yes, the month of March is going to be very home-malicious for them because they only play, I think, 3 road games the entire month. But that first 2 weeks in April, they go out on a long 7-8 game road trip from what I'm seeing. It's a 7-game road trip where they start off in Sacramento, go to the Clippers, they go to, which is, of course, L.A. here, of course, but they go to Toronto, Florida, then they go to Miami, Brooklyn. You notice I got the Florida in there. Miami, Brooklyn, New York, and Charlotte. Now, there's a couple trap games in there I know Admiral Akbar will be honing in on, but it's the game, obviously.
The next article is probably going to be 5 trap games.
Yeah, well, it's the games at Miami and at Brooklyn, which are of great interest to me because they come up on the tail end of that road trip. So I'm looking at that road trip to be a key for the Lakers and how well they'll do. Jamie, what have you got as far as that's concerned, as far as any games or a game that you're looking forward to in the second half of the season for the Lakers?
$40,698,419 is how much Tony Allen earned as his career.
How many years?
So, who cares? $40 million. Come on.
I think he played 12, 10 to 12.
Yeah, 12 years.
Never got 8 figures. He
never
never paid. What's the MLE?
That is true. He only ever made 7 figures. Oh gosh, that's so terrible for him. I don't know how he'll ever survive. Hopefully, they have a good Thanksgiving this year. We can only pray.
Yeah. But is there anything in the second half?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, no. I'm excited. I'm excited about Brooklyn.
Defender, but the problem is that they don't pay great defenders anywhere near what they pay great scorers.
Well, we know that.
Sure. Yeah. That's the news flash.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm excited about Miami, Brooklyn. I'd like to see us get a little revenge in those games. I'm excited for the same reason to see Philly, and I'd like to see. I'm actually curious to see how we do. We have a lot of back-to-backs in the second half of the season.
8 of them.
No, we have a ton. It's going to be. We did good in the second half of back-to-backs. Not great in the first half last season. So I'm curious to see how we perform in those scenarios. As those are going to be games where this compressed schedule, depending on when AD comes back, how AD comes back, all of those things are. I mean, if they stick to their timeline, he, in theory, would be back at the end of March, which 9 days. That 9.
February 14th, 4 weeks from February 14th, happens to, by coincidence,
I
since
thought-
28 days in February, happens to be March 14th.
Oh, okay. I'm a week off then. I thought they made that 4 weeks after the first week.
No, the 4 weeks was based upon the expectation is that I think the biggest thing with this, there's two things with the schedule that really impress me. The first is the 9 days off that we get, and the fact that we come back on the 12th and the 14th would be 4 weeks. So there's a good chance that those first 5 or 6 games, which are pretty easy scheduled games and at home, except for one game, there's a good chance that we'll get AD back. He'll be able to get into shape, and the team will be able to adjust to him before they go on that big April trip.
Also, I thought that was just going to be a reevaluation.
The hardest schedule for the second half of the season of any other team, of most of the 30 teams in the league. And I've always been a big proponent that I would rather have an easier schedule the first half of the season and a more difficult schedule the second half of the season, because you rise to the level of the competition you have.
Well, the Lakers
or
have
in
had
the Lakers case, we dip down to the level of the competition that we have.
Well, the Lakers have had a harder schedule, I think, on both sides of the equation. So they've had one of the harder schedules on both.
Well, it always changes so much because it depends on what the record is of those guys.
Yeah.
Right. I never put much stock in that, to be honest. It's like, how did a team do up to this point? Okay, now I change how tough the schedule is.
I think the tougher the schedule, the better it is for us.
I mean, I like that theory. I think that, a lot of people say that seeding doesn't matter this season. I disagree with that. I think that we need to be –
for sure.
I disagree with that completely. I think that when you are the best in the West, you come into games with a certain level of confidence because of that. I think that if you're like 4th or 5th in the West and you could have been better, you look back and wonder what could have been. Well, I don't want to be well, hold on, just please.
Better is more important than
let Jamie let Jamie finish. Go ahead, Jamie.
I was trying to say that, I want to be a team that feels like we are the best, not a team that's wondering what could have been. And we came out of the West as the best, and guess what? We were the best in the NBA. So that is not going to be the case this year. I think Utah is going to be the top team in the West. I think that Phoenix might even leapfrog us in the standings by the end of the season. And the Clippers will stay ahead of us. I think we'll probably end it, depending on how long. And also to clear something up, I think that they're going to reevaluate Anthony Davis in 4 weeks. I don't think he's coming back in 4 weeks. So those are two very different things. I think he's not doing any basketball activity for 4 weeks. So he won't be back in 4 weeks on the 14th. Or I doubt that very highly, but we hope. I'm hoping, but I'm not jinxing anything. I'm not. It's not my body. It's not my team. I'm a fan, and I would like for him to be back. And when he comes back, I would like for him to be very, very healthy when he does so that he can play the best basketball he can. So to that, I think that the first part of the schedule is going to be tough.
KD? That's the question.
Do I think what? I'm sorry.
KD versus AD. Who's going to be back first?
I think that KD could play. I think that
him out until after the All-Star.
No, but I think it's just a precautionary measure with him. It's just that's
the same thing that the Lakers are saying about AD.
Well, yeah. I got to tell you, I think this is a little bit more serious with AD.
Yeah, Durant didn't limp off the court.
AD's never had a serious injury. KD had the torn calf muscle, and he may have a torn calf muscles this time.
No, this is a hamstring.
And the Achilles.
It's a hamstring. Yeah. Anyway,
hamstring.
But they think that it's a tear.
I mean, if that's the case,
he's out.
He's going to be. It's going to be difficult for him to be back by the playoffs.
He has a grade 2 tear, probably, is what.
I'll wait for an official report before I speculate on something like that. But anyway,
Rod from 3 Seed B said that was the likely prognosis. Either extremely careful and conservative, or he had a grade 2 tear.
I mean, the fact of the matter is the Brooklyn Nets play in the easiest division in the Eastern Conference. Well, not the easiest. I take that back.
They have 2 superstars, so they don't need to bring him back as soon.
There's a bevy of reasons that the Lakers need to be more careful with AD.
Major injuries.
Right. No, I agree. So
AD's never had a major injury,
and it doesn't really matter whoever comes back, KD or AD. Whenever AD comes back, the key is, can he play basketball the way he can at his best? Because he wasn't doing it before the injury even. So this is a concern, and that's not something I'm just I feel comfortable glossing over. I think it's a huge issue for this team, both in the regular season and the playoffs, if he's not able to go. Or if he does go, if he's not 100% effective like he can be. I'm not saying he has to be 100% healthy, but he has to be the best and most effective version of himself that he can be. Nobody's healthy anymore at this point. Ask KCP, who took another leg injury today, man. That guy's just getting knocked off.
The whole game, man.
He's living the whole game. No, I think the All-Star break is going to do I hope he comes out of the gate of the All-Star break looking like the KCP we saw in the playoffs.
I just hope that they're all very careful during the All-Star break and don't go out and socialize and end up with more contact tracing issues.
No. It's going to be. That's the other thing. There's so many things that could derail a lot of things this season. This whole enterprise is on a fingernail right here. One quick note, Damian Jones didn't play today. 10-day contract. I'm not going to lie. This signing literally did nothing for me. I was kind of like, oh, okay, like cool.
He's just another body on the practice floor right now.
I guess, yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Is they need another guy to practice or something because they also let Cook go. So I don't expect him to play. I would rather see Kaycock or Costas get minutes over him. That being said, now that he's a Laker, if he does play, I hope he plays well. And I was hoping for. There's still a lot of time. I'm hoping for more. Usually, and Tom can attest to this. Usually, I am not proposing trades or hoping for trades or looking to shift personnel much. In this case, I think we do, not just for this season, but for next season in terms of like retaining certain players, mainly Montrezl Harrell, but even Dennis Schroeder, he hasn't signed that extension yet. He's past the time when he's eligible. He could sign it anytime he wanted. So the fact that
it hasn't been offered.
Who knows? I don't know. I'm assuming as much.
The max he can get is like 18.5, and that's the max the Lakers can offer him, and they have not offered that because if they offered that, he would accept it.
Probably, I'm assuming as much, or maybe they've offered 18.5 for less years than he wants, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, there's no. Let's put it this way. He's not under contract next season, so there's no guarantee he'll be back.
Right.
That's
we can at least offer him an extension. We can offer an extension to Trez. So Trez is gone unless his market value has diminished enough that he's only going to get the MLE.
Doubt that highly.
And it's also doubtful too that we don't have bird rights on him.
Nope.
So we can't.
No, you got to sign him like day one.
Well, if we do the non-taxpayer MLE, that means we're going to be hard capped again next year.
Yep.
So it makes it almost impossible for Trez to return.
That's why I consider him to be our most tradable asset.
Yeah,
not so much
is for that
has
reason.
Nothing to do with his play. His play is I've loved watching him all season long.
He played really well tonight.
Played great tonight. He's been the most energetic player on the team consistently all season long. Has always showed up with sometimes it doesn't translate into victories or into a great game.
On a prove-it contract for a big payday next year.
Yeah. The fact of the matter is that, along with guys who don't score, big men who don't do like 8 things also don't make a lot of money in the NBA. You have to be like the Mike Trout of big men in order to get a big payday in the NBA. Otherwise, you're going to be relegated to Willie Cauley-Stein.
Guards and forwards league. There's no doubt about that.
Nerlens Noel. Even it's a have and have not league. There's a handful of players who get huge deals, and then everybody else fights for the salary cap scraps, man. So. Right. That's how they designed the system, and the players had their say in it, and here it is. So.
And they vote for it every year.
Some of those. Okay, I'll say this: I like to fight for some of those scraps. I'll take that because that's a nice chunk of change.
I'll take Tony Allen money all week, every day, every year, all year for 12 seasons of 7 figures.
Yeah, well, I'll say this, that, again, it was another performance by the Lakers in the third quarter. They dominated on defense, and that's what won the game for them.
Getting 5 figures,
Who?
What?
It's like trying to go from 5 to 6 figures for us.
Let's try to go from 1 to 2 for me. How about that? Let's go right there for you.
You need a union job, Gerald. You need a union gig.
We're signaling the ref for a quick timeout, but we'll be back with more of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Hey Lakers fans! Looking for the best place to go for up-to-date news, information, original videos, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces, and discussions about the world champion Los Angeles Lakers? Well, look no further than LakerHolics.com. With a legion of followers always there talking about everything Lakers and the NBA, there's no better place to go to share your fandom as the team heads toward another championship run. So stop by and be part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.com. 102-93 for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight over the Portland Trail Blazers. But before we head on out, we're going to go ahead and let you guys know what's out there as far as LakerHolics.com and what LakerTom and Jamie Sweet are working on. So before we head on out, LakerTom, what are you working on your Medium.com site, and of course LakerHolics.com?
Well, I just traded away KCP, Kuzma, and Errol for Porzingis,
and THT
Horton Tucker for
and you threw an AC without anybody even asking for him.
Well, I really feel like if there's an opportunity to get Porzingis, that he solves the whole problem for the Lakers as a volume 3-point shooter, and I think playing for Frank Vogel and playing next to Anthony Davis, that he could be back to the defensive player he was in the 3 years he was with the Knicks when he had excellent defensive ratings and excellent shot blocking ratings.
Well, right now he is the worst defender in the league.
Yeah, I don't know where this is coming from.
I was thinking about that earlier this week.
A lot of these defensive ratings for players are all related to the team's defensive rating. You don't see guys on teams with terrible defensive ratings having great years where they're close to 100. So a lot of that is sort of like plus minus, that it's very strongly influenced by who else you're playing with.
I think Porzingis has Andrew Bynum, Brandon Roy knees, and that he is a no-go. That's what I think.
We know that, Jamie.
Well, he is not a very reliable individual as far as staying in that lineup, especially coming off an extended absence.
Yeah, but that's all you can get at this point in time. You need, if you want a third superstar, and I think that the Lakers.
But that's not. He's not a third. But he's not a superstar.
If you need a third all-star caliber player, okay. If you need a third star, the Lakers aren't going to be able to get a third. They're not going to get Bradley Beal or somebody like that. We don't have the assets to get that. And you're going to have a gamble on somebody who's got an injury issue or some issue that makes them tradable and attainable, So you have to make some moves because the league is different this year. This is not last year in the bubble. Teams are shooting better. They're shooting more threes. They're hitting a higher percentage of threes. And the three teams that are our biggest competitors, the Clippers, the Jazz, and the Nets, all three of them are the top 5 3-point differentials in the league. And so the Lakers right now are like 20th in the differential, and actually probably worse than that after the last stretch of games.
Right.
So we have a big disadvantage that we didn't have last year. We're scoring the same amount of points as we did last year. We're scoring the same amount of points in the paint. We're shooting about the same number of threes. That's not going to fly this year with those three teams because we're not going to be playing the Denver Nuggets, Miami Heat in the finals. We're going to be playing three much better teams than we played last year. It's not going to be Houston, Denver, and then the Miami Heat.
It definitely won't be Houston.
That's for
it
sure.
Definitely won't be Denver, and it definitely won't be Miami in the finals.
Well, Jamie, I know you're working on 5 great things for the Lakers coming up here on LakerHolics.com. So what are you working on with your 5 great things? And hopefully it's not 5 trap games at LakerHolics.com.
No, there's only 3 games left, so there can only be 3 trap games.
Well,
I don't consider the All-Star
You're always
break.
working on a trap game.
Listen. If I know there's a pothole there, I try to tell people to drive around it. I try to tell people, listen, you don't take that pothole lightly. Don't just try to drive right on through it.
Most of us don't walk down the street looking for the potholes first.
I mean, listen, it's an analogy. However you want to take it. I mean, the fact of the matter is that this team has made a great habit of playing down to terrible teams. Until they break that habit, then the potential exists for it to continue. Empirical evidence is a mofo, as they say. I'm excited for my 5 great things. I'm excited to welcome Dennis Schroeder back again. I've been for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month or so. I've been clamoring for more THT. I'll take the defensive issues of not leveling guys off. I'll take the miscommunications on the perimeter and in the paint. I'll take the weird jump passes that this is his rookie year. Like he's gonna make mistakes like that, but. And this is how I feel with a few players. If they're going to stay on the team to the end of the season, if we're not going to trade them, then we need to utilize them to the best of their abilities. For me, that's THT, Marc Gasol, and frankly, Dennis Schroeder. I think tonight was a great example of Dennis Schroeder being given a little more of the control of the offense than he normally does, and that the team in general responded. And it's harder to guard when it's not just LeBron. Teams can load up on LeBron, but if LeBron sinks over to the corner, there's going to be like 2 guys who hedge over that way because that's LeBron James. You don't leave one guy alone on an island against LeBron James if you can avoid it. So those are my 5 great things, is that there are things within this game that we ought to build upon in terms of building a future identity for the team that can succeed in the playoffs, whether we shoot a lot of threes or not, whether we play any, the defense and the changing up the dimensions of the way we attack the basket, pushing the pace like THT did all game long. Things like that are not like basketball savant, like, oh, I just figured out the riddle of life. Like that's just do it. Like it's just, you just play that way. You choose to play that way, or we just did. So those are my 5 great things, is that the recipe for not repeating the stretch we just went through lies in today's game. Even though
one of the things that, if you think back and think about the game, one of the things we didn't see that was the most infuriating was the tosses of the ball to LeBron on the side and 4 guys standing around.
Almost never.
We didn't see that tonight.
No.
That was really important.
Gasol and Schroeder had that.
A lot of it was Dennis, because there was always somebody over there with LeBron on the side.
Let the point guard
do the 2-man action.
This is crazy, but let the point guard do the point guard things. Like you proved you can lead the league in assists. Like this isn't the team you're going to do that on. You're not lobbing it to Dwight once a game or twice a game for 2 easy assists. You're not lobbing it to JaVale once a game or so for an easy assist. Like those are 2 or 3 assists that just don't exist anymore. There's nobody for him to lob those easy assists to. So change your strategy, which I think he's done a good job. I mean, it said he's only averaging 8 assists. So, it's still ridiculous what he's accomplishing. But let Schroeder do the point guard things. He's that good. He can be trusted in those situations to make the right decision. Is he going to do it every time? No. We saw that a couple of times tonight where he got into trouble, late shot clock, kind of dribbled into traffic or trouble, threw the ball away, bad shots. But I think if you give him enough reps doing it, he will get better at those things. And that's what I want. Those are the habits I would rather see us build, rather than how great can LeBron James be? We know he can be great, but he needs great role players to at least play to their role around him if he's going to succeed at all.
Well, we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Sunday.
When they play. Hopefully they will go ahead and double team him starting as he comes out of the locker room. But we'll see what happens there. It is, again, the Lakers winning 102-93 over the Portland Trail Blazers. I truly appreciate everybody watching and listening. We've had great responses as far as a lot of people watching, so we cannot thank you enough for doing so. Please check out everything that these guys are doing today at Lakerholics.com. Check out the latest Pop Culture Cosmos I dropped on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, wherever you get your podcasts, where we talk about everything going on within the Marvel Universe, and our first part of our conversation on the nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's today, so check it out. It dropped today on the Pop Culture Cosmos channels, wherever you get your podcasts, and radio stations worldwide. Guys, it's been great talking to each and every one of you. Again, the Lakers win. Win, win, win. I like the sound of that. Lakers win. Lakers win. And like Lady Gaga getting her dogs back, all is right in the world. Yes, all is right in the world once again when the Lakers win a game. So, guys, it's been great talking to each and every one of you out there. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we'll catch you Sunday after the Golden State game right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.